You can go.
That he shouldn't suffer by the hands of the Zaydim. The Zaydim, we have to see what this is referring to. He says, imagine a person that owes a lot of people money, and he has money with him that he's able to pay everybody off. But nobody knows that he has the money to pay everybody off. Everybody thinks that this guy doesn't really have so much money, and everybody wants to try to get in first to be able to take whatever he owes to them, because they're scared that if he's not going to pay them, he's going to pay somebody else, and they're going to have to wait a very long time. But this person, he can't pay everybody at one time. He wants to wait until slowly he sells his merchandise and he'll pay people. What does he need? So he needs somebody else to come into the picture and tell the people that he owes money to, don't worry, I guarantee the loan. Give it time, he'll pay everybody. I'm guaranteeing the loan. Once a big person comes and he calms the people down to say that he guarantees the loan, everybody calms down, everybody knows he's going to pay now. You don't feel too worried anymore that this guy's not going to pay them. And he doesn't have to be worried that people are going to start calling him and harassing him and taking him to Beit Din and so on and so forth. He says, also David HaMelech said the same thing. David HaMelech was saying, asking Hashem that Hashem should be a guarantor to him, that Hashem should help him against the Satan, against the Mekatrigim. The Mekatrigim are the prosecutors in Shemayim. Every single person, based on his actions, he builds for himself angels that will work for him, or he can build angels that will work against him, which are called prosecutors. So David HaMelech was davening to Hashem that the prosecutors that he has in Shemayim from his Avirot shouldn't go ahead and torment him, shouldn't give him a difficult time because of the sins that he has. Why? Because he has a lot of Zuchiyot and Neged Avirot. He can really pay all those Avirot. But what? But those prosecutors in Shemayim that he has, they want to go ahead and attack him. So he's asking Hashem to be able to help him. When a person has Avirot, those Avirot create negative energies. Those Avirot create...
How is it possible to clean them, to kill them?
Prosecutor.
Sure.
So Tomer Devorah says, when a person does Avirot, he creates like these negative energies, these negative malachim, and really Hashem should really tell them, you go deal with the guy yourself, wipe him out, but Hashem takes care of them, and he sustains them. But they really want to rip this guy into pieces, because they're all these negative spirits and all these negative souls that now are created, and they need something to do. So this guy created them, they sort of want to have something against him. He says there's a few ways. One, Ribu Ha'or, a lot of Torah, a lot of mitzvot, a lot of tefillah. Two, suffering. Alternative method. The Ramchal writes in Derech Hashem, by default, the Sitra Achra, the Tumah, kills itself when a person suffers. So if a person himself doesn't get up and he doesn't do teshuvah and he doesn't change and he doesn't learn and he doesn't daven and he doesn't fix it himself, then by default he's going to have to suffer, and that suffering will remove those prosecutors, will remove those avirot that he did. That's one of the two ways. Either ribuya, or either a person himself will go ahead and take them away, or either it will happen automatically in the course of time. Sometimes it will happen faster, sometimes it will happen slower. HaKadosh Baruch Hu pays a person for the avirot slowly, through the yisurim that a person has. And after 120, a person will come out clean. Sometimes the HaKadosh Baruch Hu does not punish a person in this world. Sometimes Hashem says, this person, he does not zochet olam haba. So you know what, I'm going to save all his avirot in this world. I'll let him live, I'll let him be okay. And after 120, we'll make him answer for everything.
Maybe sometimes HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he cannot clean it. No possible to clean him in this world. You have to come upstairs to clean, wash.
There is possible to clean in this world also. It's better for a person to be clean in this world.
Yes.
Why?
No, it's better, of course better.
The Ramban says that all of a person suffering, even the 70 years of suffering of Eov, cannot equal out to a moment of Gehenna, of how much it is to suffer. It's very difficult to suffer. It's really a very big chesed that a person suffers in this world. The Gra says if it wouldn't be for suffering in this world, we wouldn't have discussed to live here. Suffering in a way is a good thing, because it cleans a person out from a person's avirot. It cleans a person's neshama. If a person would not have yisurim, but suffering could be in anything. Right? The Gemara says even if a person puts his hands inside his pocket to take out a quarter and he takes out 10 cents or 5 cents by accident, that's also considered Yisurim. Right? Everything is considered Yisurim. Any inconvenience for a person is considered Yisurim. But it's really a chesed. It's really a chesed that a person will suffer, and by default it takes away a person's avirot as well. As a matter of fact, Rabbi Yehuda Fataya writes that there are a lot of people that do teshuvah. A lot of people that decide they want to do teshuvah, they want to come close to God. Suddenly they do teshuvah. Rabbi Yehuda Fataya says suddenly they start suffering. Suddenly life starts to go upside down. Things start to become difficult. Before I did this, before I kept Shabbat, before I did this, everything was okay. Yeah. Now suddenly I started to go to shul, life started to become difficult. Rabbi Yehuda Fataya says that's good. That means that your teshuvah was accepted. Why? He says when a person becomes a Baal Tshuva, now his system changes. Before, his life was here. Hashem said, I'm going to save all the Avirot. After 120 you come, we have everything prepared for you. Now Hashem says, I want you to come after 120 as clean as possible. Why? So you can go to Gan Eden quicker, better for you. So in this world, I'll give you the suffering slowly, because in this world the suffering cleans much more and much quicker than it would have been after 120. One time, they say this story in the name of the Chafetz Chaim. I don't know, I've never really seen it inside brought in a source that I can tell you that this is a clear source that this is what happened with the Chafetz Chaim. But the idea of it is a nice idea. The Chafetz Chaim's wife one time asked him, how is it possible that our neighbor, right, who doesn't keep anything, he's living like a king. No worries, no nothing. He's living, everything is good with him. Us, we do everything for Hashem, and we can barely bring food at home. We barely have money for anything. The Chafetz Chaim told his wife, this guy miskin, right? Torah he doesn't have. Shabbat he doesn't have. Spirituality he doesn't have. Right? Olam Haba he doesn't have. Hashem shouldn't give him money. Also, at least something Hashem should give him, right? He cannot give him nothing. Right? At least something Hashem should give him. Right? So Lama said it's just a different perspective of how to look at life, but that's what the Torah says. HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes the wicked people and he gives them their reward in this world because he doesn't want to even see them in Olam Haba. One time, believe it or not, somebody came to me and told me this. One time somebody came to me and said, Rabbi, can I ask you a question? I said, yeah. He tells me, how could I be that person that Hashem pays me everything in Olam Haba, I have nothing in Olam Haba? I tell him, you cannot, you have too much emunah. You cannot. If you believe in God to such an extent, there's no way in the world. You're good. It's never going to happen to you. Right? Right, let's go on. Right? Hashem Yerachim. He says, in order for a person to come out zakai in deen, in order for a person to come out in judgment after 120 clean, he says, Gigadola cheshbon v'adikduk. In Shemayim, it says they look into every little thing that a person did. And not only every little thing that a person did, but everything that a person could have done. They don't only judge a person for what he did and what he didn't do, but what he could have done as well. What does that mean? Rabbi Shmuel Omer, right? Imagine a person after 120 goes up to Shemayim and he says, yes, I learned Chumash. You're going to ask him, how come you didn't learn Mishnah? He's going to say, okay, I learned Mishnah. You're going to ask him, how come you didn't learn Halakha? No matter what you're going to tell them, they're always going to ask you, how come you didn't do more? How come you couldn't be better? But you see from here that it's not so easy for a person after 120 just to come and say, I didn't do it, right? I couldn't do it.
But
right?
Shabbat also they're thinking, whatever we think the person.
What?
About thinking.
Thinking?
Yeah, if you think something bad.
Yes, it's an Avirah also.
Special.
If a person thinks of something immoral, it's an Issa Doraita. If a person thinks
Levavchem is thinking.
Yes, it's worse. It's a Shach in the Shulchan Aruch that if a person is Meharer Acharei Isha, it's an Issa Doraita. If a person is Meharer, if a person thinks, yes, it's an Issa Doraita. Right? And then afterwards, they come and they bring a person to judgment for every single thing that he could have done. For every single thing that he could have learned. We said this last time, right? That a person is obligated to learn every chelik of Torah based on his abilities. That he says over here, Oy lanu yom hadin, oy lanu yom hatuchacham. That if a person will just give up and say, you know what, forget about it, I'm not going to do anything, he says that's even worse of all. Why? Because the Kadosh Baruch Hu knows what a person's thinking. Hashem knows the person's heart. And a person has to do everything that he can in order to put in his best effort that he can do in order to gain as much as he can gain. Because after 120, they're not going to let anything slide. They're going to calculate every single minute of our lives from the moment we woke up until the moment we went to sleep. Every single thing that we did and every single thing that we could have done throughout our whole life. Of course, every single person Hashem has different expectations of everybody, right? But Lamaaseh, Hashem expects from a person realistically based on what that person could have done, based on his family, based on his surroundings, based on where he is, right? If a person is sitting at home and next to himself he has bookshelves, he has everything there, Shas, Poskim, Shulchan Aruch, everything he has. But every day he comes home, instead of opening up a Gemara, instead of opening up a Sefer, he just sits on his phone for 3 hours. Right? That's a churban. At the end of the day, they're going to ask him, how come you didn't pick up a Sefer? How come you didn't learn? How come you didn't become better? Right? And he goes on to say, we'll just say the story. The story is a nice story from the Zohar. He brings over here that a person, whenever he has the ability and opportunity to fulfill the mitzvah, he should be fired up to fulfill the mitzvah with tremendous amount of simcha. That a person that does the mitzvah b'simcha is very loved and very accepted by Hashem. And the Arizal says, how did he reach such levels in spirituality? How did he reach such high levels in spirituality? The Arizal says, is because he did the mitzvot b'simcha. When a person does a mitzvah b'simcha, it elevates the mitzvah 1,000 degrees above. The Zohar Chadash says that when a person brings his son into a bar mitzvah, when he's 13 years old, it's such a precious day for Kadosh Baruch Hu that this boy who came now to chiyuv mitzvot and now he was able to fulfill the mitzvot on his own through his own obligation to get close to Hashem. The Zohar says the person should make that day a tremendous party. So to make that day a tremendous party. A bar mitzvah has to be a tremendous party, a holy day. A day where the boy gets a special neshama and he comes into a Yom Kadosh. Right? Unfortunately, not all bar mitzvahs fall under this detail that the Zohar mentions, but that's that. You know, we'll say this for another time. Let's go to the laws of, let's go back to the laws of Rebbe a little bit. Let's discuss a little bit of money, loans, and so on. Now, this is going to be the main topic, but you can ask any topic you want. You can ask on any question, any topic you want. The Shulchan Aruch says, כל דבר אסור ללמוד בתוספת אפילו בכל בשבע בנותיי, יש איסור ריבית אבל אין מוציאין אותה בדיינים. Right? A person is usher to lend anything in addition for anything else. Meaning to say as follows. I'm not allowed to tell you I'm going to lend you money and I want you to pay me back the money and a plastic cup. Even if what I'm asking you to give me back in return is insignificant, it's something that's worth pennies, it's still isur d'oraita of rebit. Even if I'm telling you that you have to pay me back something insignificant, something very small. So for example, you come and you tell me, can I borrow $500? No problem, I'll give you $500. You tell me give it back to you tomorrow, but I tell you give it back to me, you have to give me shoelaces also. Right? Or plastic cup also, it's also asur. I'm just using an example. Anything more for the actual money is always going to be rebit. If it's conditional,
How about if you bring yourself?
d'oraita.
You give me $500, I bring you some bottle of whiskey.
No.
Not allowed.
I want to give you appreciate. It's not a prayer rebate. I want to like a friendship, like a matana for you. Why not?
Say thank you.
I'm saying thank you to you.
Другу не надо говорить спасибо, он же друг.
Doesn't matter, but it's you.
Друг считается друг, зачем ему спасибо говорит?
There are herds. What is the solution?
Appreciation. No.
Appreciation.
Спасибо можешь сказать?
Appreciation можешь сделать подарок.
You're not allowed to give anything more in return.
Но если вы деньги
It's not a
возьмете,
return. I'm not giving you a return. I just look from my bottom of my heart. I give appreciation to you. It's not rebate. It's nothing. Like I thank you that you saved
That's
me.
rebit. That's rebit Rabbanan.
If I come to you Friday Shabbat house, I bring you bottle of whiskey also rebate.
No, that's okay.
That's okay. But when I take money from you, I bring this is no good.
No good. Because when I borrow money from you and I pay you back, the fact that I want to pay you, the fact that I'm giving you something more in return, that's already rebit Rabbanan. Chamim does not allow it. You can't.
Even if I don't think about it.
Even if you don't think about it, even if you tell them this is a gift for you, I like you, right? If I bring you a bottle of scotch once a month or every week all the time and I continue, it's okay. Now suddenly you lend me money, I brought you an additional bill, I gave you a bottle, that's not allowed.
I cannot invite him
No.
even to a restaurant.
you're not allowed to give him the bottle right away.
No, if let's say if you give me $500, I will invite you to
But if
restaurant.
I pay you back, for example, I borrow $500 from you and I pay you back, and then a month later I want to bring you a bottle, that's okay. Why, if it's further removed from the loan and I give it to you and I don't tell you it's for the loan, I don't say thank you for the loan, it's okay. Right? It can't be too close to the loan, and it can't be because I'm telling you thank you for the loan, here's the bottle. I can't.
No, but if I don't say nothing, I say, listen, let's drink together, let's say, together. I open this bottle, thank you very much, I want to appreciate, we drink l'chaim together. Possible? No
The whole
possible.
point,
That's
he
right.
would try to tell you, you can't tell him, listen, I brought this bottle because
I don't
want to appreciate you.
No.
He said from the book, why you won't from him?
You're not allowed. You're only allowed to give it a month later without telling him.
1 month later.
Without telling him. You can't give it away.
Идем помоги.
You can't give it away. You're not allowed to give it away. Right? A lot of
Вот ты
people.
даешь взятку ему сейчас? Ты же даешь сейчас ему?
Sorry, sorry.
Yeah.
Получается, вас семья поймет.
So it says over here, now ribit doesn't only apply to money, it applies to items also. Right? It applies to items also. If I right now give you,
You give me a little bit of sugar, a cup of sugar. Can I give you a whole bag of sugar back?
no.
Today it's actually a little bit worse.
For example,
Ну я уголь взял у соседа.
with the bottle, you do it with me.
Пол мешка уголь взял. Что я уже буду пол мешка уголь давать?
Rabbi,
Один принес
you
пакет
borrowed a
поставил,
bottle from
не?
me, a
Yeah,
bottle of
that's
whiskey. It was $8.50.
you can.
It cost $80.
You can't or you can't?
He returns back to
You
me
can.
a bottle at a level 18 and it's $40-50 more expensive.
You know, you gotta understand my situation. I have all these bottles at home that I don't drink. I'm not gonna go specifically buy him the same bottle. So I took a bottle, I give it back to him.
So he's asking me like this. If I right now need charcoal, right? I'm making a barbecue, right? And I see I don't have charcoal. I go to my neighbor, I said, can you give me a bag of charcoal? He gives me half a bag of charcoal. Am I allowed to go and return to him a full bag of charcoal? So if you're telling him, go give me a half a bag of charcoal, I'll give you charcoal back. He says, okay, not allowed, because now you owe him a half a bag of charcoal. You're not allowed to give him a full bag of charcoal. You don't want to give him a half a bag of charcoal, so just pay him whatever the charcoal here costs. Or go, you keep his bag, fill up half a bag, and give him half a
But
bag.
this
and
is
that's it.
already too much. You know how many times the neighbors will come to each other to ask for one potato or something, small things.
Don't give back. That's okay.
No, I don't give back, but I'm just saying, she asked for me, she asked for me.
That's okay. Let me tell you. When it comes to small
What do
things,
you like it?
when it comes to small things and you're giving and you're not expecting anything back, it's okay. We need to say it like this.
Yeah.
Right? For example, if you come to me and I tell you, listen, can I borrow, you want to borrow from me a bag of charcoal. I have a half a bag of charcoal, the big one, I tell you, take it. You tell me, I can't give it back, I say, I don't need it back, just take it, it's for you. And then you go and you bring me a whole bag of charcoal, that's okay. Why? Because when I first gave it to you, I didn't tell you, okay, you'll bring me back
Didn't
charcoal.
expect it back.
I didn't care, I couldn't care less. I gave it to you as a gift, right? Now that I gave it as a gift, you want to give it to me, you don't want to give it to me, I don't care. Right? So therefore, you're not obligated to give anything back to me. You want to give it back to me, you give it back to me, right? That's okay. Or in the case like he said, he's asking a very interesting question. He's saying, if you come to me now and you borrow a Johnny Walker, say you borrow a Glenlivet 12 from me, right? I gave you a Glenlivet 12. Now you want to bring it back, but you don't have Glenlivet 12. You have Glenlivet 15 at home. You don't have Glenlivet 12, you have Glenlivet 15. Are you allowed to give me back Glenlivet 15 or not? You're not allowed. Why? When I give you the Glenlivet 12, I'm expecting to get a bottle back. I didn't give it to you as a gift. Now you're giving me a bottle that's more expensive, you're giving me something more in return that you're not allowed. What he's saying, you hear what he's saying? He's saying, what about if I'm not giving it back to you because it's more expensive? I'm giving it back to you because I don't want to go to the store. I have now 20 bottles in my house, right? All these fancy bottles in my house. I don't need them. I ain't gonna lay in my house. It's easier for me to give you the Glenlivet 15 than in order for me to go out to the store and buy you a Glenlivet 12. So he's asking if I'm doing it out of my own convenience because I don't want to go to the store and spend money now, can I do it or not? So I asked this question to Rabbi Levanoni. Rabbi Levanoni is a rabbi who wrote a very big sefer on Rebit. He's one of the biggest professionals in Hilchot Rebit today. He actually learns in our kollel in the back. He's an older man. I asked him a similar question. I told him, what if I go and I borrow a bottle of wine for somebody, it costs $10? I go to the store, they don't have this bottle of wine. They have another bottle of wine, costs $13. To me, it's more comfortable just to buy the $13 wine. I'm gonna go start now looking for this bottle of wine. It's a headache for me, right? So he told me that if it's a little bit more money and you're doing it out of your own convenience, not because you want to give him something nicer, it's just very inconvenient for you to go and get that particular bottle. He said it's okay. So, right? So if it's a minute upgrade, it's not something drastic. It's not like I give you a 12 and you give me an 18 or a 21 back. If it's something minute, a few dollars more, and you're doing it out of your own convenience because you don't want to now go to the store and go buy it and so on and so forth, he seemed to be okay with
Today
that,
we have
to
different
be
problem.
okay.
Today you give money to somebody, lend money, you don't see it never.
So I tell you, when it comes to loans, you have to know who you're giving money to. I have a friend in Kolel. His family, they have money, and he has a fund, a tzedakah fund. He always begging me to find him people to borrow money from him. You know, you ever see somebody like this? They beg you to look for people to borrow money from them. He tells me, please, I have so much money in this gamach. I want to lend it to people. I want to do
Show
it.
me, let me, who is this? Let me know.
Right. I want to lend it to people. I already sent him a few people, Baruch Hashem, but what? He's not stupid. He doesn't just come give you money. He wants to make contract, right? He wants to make 2 guarantors you need to have.
Okay.
2 guarantors you need to have.
Here I have 1, 2.
Right? 2 guarantors you need to have, and he wants you to give him already all the checks predated. For example, you took $20,000. He wants $1,000 check every month, already 20 checks that he should have in his hands. He doesn't want to run after you. But he give you the money, no problem. But he's smart to do it in a way that's safe. Otherwise, like you said, you give somebody money, you don't know he's going to give it to you. Right? Tomorrow a person worked very hard. He made $100,000. Now he has to pay it back. You already forgot the fact that he used the money for something, right? But Lama said, if you give it to somebody honest, they'll always pay it back. Honest people always pay back money. You should know
Honest
that.
people, you're right.
Honest people always pay back money. They don't want $1 in their hands that doesn't belong to them. Of a person that's honest, right now he has money in his hand, he could either pay you back or go on vacation and pay you back. It's not his money, you know he has to pay you back. Right? You're right, there are people that borrow that don't take. But if you know that this person is like that, don't give. Or you give.
Who will give if you know this kind of person he is? Nobody gives.
So you don't know.
The problem is you don't know until you're
You don't
gonna
know.
eat this
But what
person.
happened like this. If you don't know, you could either do what I told you, you take guarantors and make a contract, or you take collateral. Collateral, you tell him you have watch, you have diamond, you have to take collateral, or you tell him, listen, I don't have money to give you a loan, right? But as a Jew, I help you. I give you $1,000 for free to help you, right? Something like this you could also do. Some people do that. They say, I don't want to give you a loan, but you also don't feel comfortable not giving him. You want to help him also. So give him $1,000 as a gift, because like
He
this,
come back
you
to you
know,
again after 1 week.
No, don't come back after 1 week. Tell them that's it already, I gave you. Right? But my point being is that you have several different options to deal with people in such circumstances. But there are honest people that will take and give back. You already have to be the one to decide and to assess everybody on your own. Now, he says over here that ribbit also applies to items like we just mentioned. And ribbit is also on things that are very minimal. We need to say even if something is worth less than 5 cents, there's also an issa ribbit. For example, if I come to you and I tell you, listen, can I borrow a tissue box? I tell you, yes, I'm gonna give you a tissue box, but you have to give me back 2 tissue boxes tomorrow, not 1, right? Not allowed. That's ribbit. That's a story. You can't have to give you 1 tissue box to give me 2 back. You're not allowed to do that, right? You're not allowed to do that. However, ribbit only applies to things, meaning to say this, if I give you, say for example, I give you my car to borrow. You want to borrow my car to borrow? You want to go, I don't know, usually young guys in yeshiva, not all of them have cars, so they like to borrow your car to go on shidduch dates, right? They usually like to come to the people that have the nicer cars. I don't know if you guys ever know, when I was a bachur in yeshiva, I used to borrow cars. Sometimes I used to borrow, one time I'll never forget this, I borrowed a car. I didn't have a car. I borrowed a minivan where the steering wheel was crooked, you know, I need wheel alignment. The whole entire minivan in the back is all full of tools, construction tools, and mats, and anything that you've never imagined. This minivan is old, it's barely driving. I took this minivan to New Jersey, right? By the time I get there, it was already a miracle, right? They come out, they see this kind of car, not always they want to continue, right? But Lema said, right, so say I want to borrow your car, I say, you know what, you were nice to me, borrow your car, I give you a car wash and I fill up your gas. Is it allowed or not allowed? He said, over there you're allowed. Why? Because when I'm borrowing your car, it's not like a bottle of scotch where I'm finishing it and it's gone. Now I have to go buy and replace it. I'm giving you that same item back. So when I'm returning the car, there's usage on the car. There's more miles on the car. There's breakthroughs on the car. There's usage on the car. That usage, now that I'm giving you something more in return, we look at it like I'm just paying you for the rental. Like sichirut. I'm just paying you for the usage of it. So when I'm filling up your gas or when I'm giving you a car wash, I'm really just giving you more in return. I'm just paying you for having to use it. It's more like a sichirut. It's not like a halva'ah. There would be less of an issue. Now, in regards to repeat, also another case to apply. Ribit is not only like we just mentioned by loans, or if I give you merchandise and you owe me money, even by employers and employees like this. Say right now you work for me and I pay you $5,000 a month salary. 1 month at the end of the month came for me to pay you the salary, I don't have money now. Why? Business was slow that month. I tell you, listen, this month business was very slow, I don't have money now. I give you money in 2 weeks, right? No, it's okay. The employer tells you, okay, first of all, you have a mitzvah, the right to pay the money that day that you have to pay him, right? And if you're not going to pay him, you're going to be over the mitzvah and also over an averah, not unless he agrees. If you explain to him and he agrees, it's okay, mitzvah that averah. But say right now he tells you, okay, you don't have money, you could pay me in 2 weeks. But right now you owe him money. Why? $5,000 at the end of the month you owe him. 2 weeks you didn't pay him. After 2 weeks you pay him late, you added another $500 to his salary. You're not allowed. That's the repeat. Why? Because why am I adding another $500 to his salary? Because I feel bad that I made you wait to get paid. The fact that you had to wait to get paid, I'm giving you more money. So I'm adding money to what I owe you because you had to wait to get paid. That's ribit also as well. That would be just a ribit that Rabbanan. You would not be able to take it and not be able to give it. Right? Not be able to take it, not be able to give it. The same thing would apply to anybody. For example, you have babysitter, right? Say you have a babysitter 3 times a week, right? And you have to pay her at the end of the week. One time you forgot, you didn't pay her for like 2 weeks. You felt bad, she's waiting for $100 for 2 weeks already. If I give $120, right? You're not allowed to do it also. You're not allowed to add because you made the person wait. You're not allowed to add one more. That's called, right, agar neter. You're not allowed to do that, right? Now, it brings over here an interesting case. Am I allowed to put a fine? Am I allowed to put a straf on a loan or no? For example, if I come and I tell you, listen, I'm going to lend you $1,000. If you pay me after 30 days, you pay me only $1,000. If you pay me after 30 days, 31st day you pay me, I give you a penalty, one-time penalty. What? You're going to have to pay me $1,000 more. Am I allowed to put a one-time penalty on a loan? If you pay late or not? That's the question. So then you're not allowed. Right? On a loan, you're not allowed. If I put a one-time penalty on a loan, that's an Issa Ribi Darabanan. Right? Because it's you could see that something is happening here. It's more like Haramat Ribi Darabanan. It's us to do such thing. Right? But I'm allowed to put one-time penalty on a sale. Allowed to put one-time penalty on a sale. What does that mean? If you come to me and I tell you, listen, I give you the merchandise, no problem. How much merchandise? Say $10,000 I give you merchandise. You have 60 days to pay. If you don't pay in 60 days, you paid already after 60 days, I'm allowed to give you a one-time penalty. You're going to have to pay me $500 more. I'm not allowed to give you a daily penalty. I'm not allowed to tell you every day you're late, you're going to pay me $5. That I'm not allowed to do because then that's like reoccurring interest on the money that you owe me. But a one-time penalty, I'm allowed to give you on a sale. I'm allowed to impose that on you. And if you pay late, I'm allowed to charge a one-time penalty. Not only by sales, but I'm also allowed to give you a one-time penalty even if I lend you an item. For example, I come and you want to borrow my pen. I tell you, listen, I give you my pen, but every time I give my pen to somebody, something always goes wrong, right? I tell you, I have a $20 pen in my pocket. I give you my pen. If you lose my pen, you're going to have to give me 2 pens back, right? You're going to have to give me 2 pens back. That you're also allowed. Why? Because it's not a loan with money that I'm imposing a fine on you that we said is the ribis d'Rabbanan. If you're giving me an item and I'm telling you that if you lose the item, you're going to pay 2 of those items back, that's okay. That's a one-time penalty fine that you're allowed to do. Now, we'll do over here, there's a Pitchei Tshuva, and there's a case over here in the Pitchei Tshuva that says, what time is it? We still have time. Okay, there's a case over here in the Pitchei Tshuva that says like this. This is a very complicated case, but let's try to focus a little bit and let's see if we can get through it. The Pitchei Tshuva is a real case that happened as follows, right? Say I lent you $20,000, right? I lent you $20,000. The year came, it's time for you to pay. I come to you, I tell you, where's my money? You tell me, yeah, I'm gonna give it to you, let me call you back. 1 month I'm running after you, from here to there, from here to there. You're not giving it to me. Right now, I have my friend that does cash advance. He tells me, listen, give me $20,000, I give you $25,000 back. Right? In 3 months I give you. I called the guy, tell him, listen, you owe me $20,000. Right now, you already had to pay me. I could use this money to invest. Right now, I can invest this money, make $5,000 profit. Because of you, I'm losing this profit. I'm losing this gain. I'm telling him, if you're not going to pay me, you're going to have to pay me the $5,000 profit that I could have gained by investing this money because I'm losing because of you. And the guy says, okay, no problem. I'll pay you the extra $5,000. Just leave me alone right now. Right? Then they went to the rabbi said, not allowed. What do you mean not allowed? I'm not charging him interest. I don't care for the interest. I want him to give me the $20,000 now. I could invest it somewhere else and make it back. I'm losing money because of him. I'm just taking more money from him because I'm losing money. I can invest it somewhere else. You're not allowed. That's going to be asur. You're not allowed to do that. Why? Because there it's still considered rebit. I'm adding more money to the loan that you owe me. Now you owe me more because you're prolonging. You're taking your time. You're prolonging, and I'm adding more. You're not allowed to do that. I'll tell you even more.
Let's say he's not giving to you 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. How long do you have to wait to get the money? Like up to
You don't wait. Take him to Beis Din.
Huh?
Take him to Beis Din. Don't want a person. If the person, listen, if a person is a decent person, and he calls you and he tells you, I'm sorry, business is not what I thought it would be. Things are a little bit difficult. I want to pay you. Just give me a little bit more time. And you know he's honest and he really wants to pay you. Is one thing. But if you already see that he doesn't want to pay you, he's just playing around, you take him to Beis Din. Because otherwise you're going to just keep going in circles.
What is Beis Din gonna do? They're gonna muscle him?
Yeah, what is
Call
Beis Din
Marshall.
gonna do nowadays?
What?
He doesn't want to go to Beis Din. He doesn't care.
If he doesn't want to go to Beis Din, after a certain amount of times, the Beis Din will give you permission to go to court. And then you go to court with them.
Or they could just make a judgment and go to the marshal.
Whatever it is, the Beis Din will figure it out. Sometimes the Beis Din could do something, is that they could put a lock on his employer's money, that his employer could pay you directly for the money that he owes you. The Beis Din could impose on the employer of this person that his salary will be directly coming to the person that he owes money to. The Beis Din could do something. It depends which Beis Din he goes to, depends on the situation. רבי חנני בן הקשה אומר את הקדוש ברוך הוא תקור יתרן פיקח קורבן המסורת של מעלה אדון החפץ ומעט תתקו יגדיל תורה בידי